Hey, good morning. Yes, it is sunshine up and at 'em. Today is Monday, November 4th. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about what advice is and what bad advice is. And that the expectation I have if I give somebody advice is to not take it as gospel. I expect that you're going to do a little research on your own if you haven't already, right? But it's just one more tool in the toolbox, right? Here's another thought idea to go with, right? Well, stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back. Yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Monday, November 4th, and my name is Eric, if you didn't already know it. So, what are we going to be talking about today? Well, we're being kind of laid up a little bit. I've had chances to visit Facebook groups, other channels on YouTube. I mean, a little mixed match of everything. And what I'm finding is that there's still misinformation. We hear it all the time now in the news, right? But it's really bad information and corruptive information to some point, right? And why do I say corruptive? I mean, everybody is out to try to make money, right? If you're running a business, whether it's a part-time do-it-yourselfer or a full-time shop, the idea is you need to have income coming in to cover all your expenses and then have so much left over so that you can adequately live on it, right? And for some of you doing part-time, it's your play money. So you need to make some money on it, right? So you have play money. But when is it too far? And, I have different horror stories that I've been told, over the years. You get as old as I am, I haven't seen it all, but I've seen a buttload of it go through. And we'll start off with the worst of the worst. And that's the scammer. You got to have a reputation, right? And your reputation is all you have when you come into this world and all you'll be able to take when you leave this world, right? So the better reputation you have, the respect from others, the better it is. The better it is, right? I know it is for me, that I know that the shop needs to make money. No ifs, ands, or buts. But at what cost? And over the years, we had one customer come to us that had told us that they got billed, for to do a service on a lawnmower was $500 and some dollars. And I'm shaking my head. I'm saying, well, did they put parts in? Did they run into problems with the service where they had to do something above and beyond? I said, because things can stack up real quick, especially if labor's involved. And then he said no. He said, actually, he didn't bring it back to him this past year. I'm sorry, bringing it to us. It was actually 2 years ago. The final finale was every year he'd take it in, they'd tell him that they put in a brand new battery. And he was sure that they hadn't, but he couldn't prove it. So what he ended up doing was writing his name in a small corner on the bottom of the battery, on the bottom so you couldn't see it unless you took it completely out, right? What they were doing at that shop was they were taking a few minutes to clean that old battery all up, make it look like new, and then bill the customer anywhere from $40 to $100 for a new battery. Now, you're not getting much respect from me if you're doing that. That's theft. That's being very dishonest. And if that person is going to tell somebody else how to make money doing small engine repair, I would assume almost most of it coming out of that person's mouth is bad advice. Because you crossed the line. And it's not just crossing the line in business. It's not just crossing the line in, who you are or crossing the line legally. It's you sold your soul, to the devil. Why would someone do that? Well, they needed more money, and this is the way they could do it. You only go around once in this world, guys. And all I can tell you is, you have to be honest, trustworthy, and you want to be treated the same way that you would hope someone else or another shop would treat you, right? This shop didn't care. This shop was finding the things that just tack on stuff that they hadn't done, but claimed they had done to make money. Another incident of where a customer said it went in because it wasn't running right. It was surging. And when they got done, they had almost $700 in parts plus labor on the lawnmower. And the lawnmower wasn't a very expensive lawnmower, right? It was, I still call them throwaways, but, it was a $2,000 lawnmower. And the guy just got hit with a bill, for $900 to $1,000 on it. And I said, well, what did they do to it? And he was showing me the write-up. And it had new coils, new carburetor, and there was a list of parts going down through. And I said, everything run on it fine? It was surging? Yep. So that tells me that that's a parts replacer, not a mechanic. A mechanic can look at things and diagnose. A parts replacer just starts and keeps going, hoping that whatever they do, they'll make it better. And I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, you're making it worse. Go online. If you're that mechanic, go online and look under surging. A lot of times it's an adjustment on the rod, or it's not getting enough air. You got little hand drills. You can drill out the vent on top. There's ways to fix that. But what I found with a lot of ones that are surging when they're down low is it goes away once you hit half throttle and full throttle. And when you're mowing, you should be mowing at full throttle. And that's what I would have told this guy was, we can do a minor adjustment on one of the rods or the fuel air mixture, or you can continue to run it. You're not going to hurt it. Surging is not going to hurt that engine. But $1,000 bill and the surging was still there after they put the new carburetor on it, supposedly. But a lot of shops do that. And why do they do that? It's because they don't have the experience. Like Jason, Travis, a lot of you guys that do it yourself, or even you, Amos, they don't have the experience to say, okay, I've seen this before, and this was explained to me by someone else, or I learned on my own how to solve the issue. But I didn't do it on my customer's back. I figured it out. And that's the true sign of being a good mechanic, is never stop learning. at my age, 62, that there's so much that I don't know. And I try to raise my elevation, by learning new things every day or reading and watching new ideas. And then I saw over on one of the groups, and there's one guy saying he charges $800 for every rider that comes in and $150 on every push. Right off the bat. And that's how they make money at that shop. And I've tried, because he's been trying to have these younger guys PM him, and so he gets private consulting on how to look at theirs and raise theirs up. And he's on track for $1 million in repairs, a year in the next 2 or 3 years, I guess. But I've asked him a few questions and he doesn't respond to me. And that is, how can you charge $800? Does it include parts and labor? Does it? And most people at the $800 mark, at least in my area, with the older mowers and stuff, if someone brought me in, let's say a Troy-built Pony or the older Simplicity, and right off the bat, I'm gonna make $800 on that rider. My customer, if I told him, which I would say, sorry, Eric, just go ahead and keep the unit, or let me pick it up. I'll pay you for a diagnostic, and I'm just going to invest that money towards a new one. That's what most customers will do. Now, if you're not looking out for the customer, and as a shop owner, you need to look out not only for your own well-being, but also for your customers. And you need to instill trust with them that you're on their side. And honestly, if you're not on their side, then you're on the wrong side. And what do I mean by being on their side? I mean, you're there to problem solve and fix the issue that they have at a reasonable price. At a reasonable price. And one thing that I told you guys, when it comes to doing repairs and so forth, if it's going to be any major issue or a multitude of minor issues that adds up to major, and this comes with experience again, you should be on the phone with that customer saying, look, Bob, this is where we're at. Where do you want to go? And if you want my advice, I'd say stop. Stop now. Because you can get in over your head in a hurry. I mean, has it got sentimental value or something like that? If not, But I leave it in the customer's hands to make that call. I'll give them my best advice on what I think. But in the end, it's my customer that's going to make the call. And probably 65% will say go ahead. Because you've now instilled trust. You're talking to them about the issue. And they're weighing out what they can afford and not afford. And hopefully you're being honest with them when you make that call that there's something serious. Another, if you got a machine that comes in and nothing works on it, and you check the fuse, which you should, it's usually underneath the dash, behind the engine. It's usually a 20 amp fuse that blows. It saves the whole system from grounding and shorting. But if you change that fuse, are you still charging $800 for that rider? $800 plus a fuse? See, because I don't know, my customers, probably 30-40% will ask what I did to the lawnmower. And if I told them for hand them an $800 bill, $802 bill, because you're paying for a fuse, if I told them I just replaced the fuse and I charged them $800 for doing so, isn't that kind of theft in a way? I mean, I know that the hourly plus and then having a flat rate, whatever works for you, the more experience you have, the more able you are to transition to part flat rate on certain things like services, your regular mundane stuff, and then hourly on the bigger issues. The biggest thing is it comes with time. Experience comes with time. Wisdom comes with time, and having experience is good and bad, finding out what works, what doesn't work, and then going from there. You have to hold yourself to a level where you're above reproach, that you're honest with everybody around you to a certain extent, as long as it isn't being harmful, like saying, look, buddy, you're an asshole. But you're honest with people, and down to earth. But the last thing I want to see is someone start off on the wrong foot, especially you young guys, that you're getting bad advice on how to take advantage of customers and make big money. One of the guys told me, and he's in his late 40s and he's switching jobs and he's transitioning over and he's going to school. He said, you can't start at the top. And that resonates so much with me, is you can't just jump to the top, fake it till you make it. You need to get that experience. That experience and learning lessons is very valuable. And it's super great if you can pair up with someone that has the same values that I'm talking about and can show you certain things and how to go about it and how to look at things, listen, watch. And as long as you're open with these guys to where you're zipping it and you're listening, instead of saying, oh, I know all about that. That's the quickest way to shut down somebody that's trying to help you, is be a know-it-all. And then by opening up your mouth, you let everybody know that you don't know squat. But this video is coming out today because I'm seeing in certain groups and on YouTube people giving other people bad advice. And if you're young and you're just starting out, you're more susceptible to going with this bad advice versus the good advice. Now, I watched in the same group where someone had posted that a machine come in, a non-running machine, and the other repair shop wanted $4,000 to fix it. And for a $50 part and half hour of their labor, which they figured at $60, they had it fixed and back in the customer's hands. Who's looking out after their customer? See, that should be part of Rule 1, is taking care of your customer. And I always tell my customers, look, when it comes to working on your machine, I'm going to work on your machine the same way I would on mine. If I'm unwilling to do it to mine because of cost or the age of it or this or that, then I'm surely not going to do it to yours without first talking to you. And most of the time, people appreciate that. And there are some that say, look, you know, my dad's or my grandfather's lawnmower, and I still like to get it running, and go ahead, Eric. Absolutely. But I'm taking care of my customer first. And it's not at my expense, all right? My expense, it didn't take... They're still paying me for the time I worked on it to see what's going on. And I budget in, you know, calls and anything else for hourly. It's not like I'm not making money at it. Am I going to retire as a multi-millionaire? Probably not. That was never one of my dreams anyways. And I'll tell you, if you're getting into business to become wealthy, you might want to reconsider it. Because if you figure out how many hours you're going to be putting in when you're doing a startup or what have you, you're going to find out you're working for peanuts. You know, you're working 7 days a week, 15, 18-hour days. It gets old after a while. And a lot of times, if you're not open and honest with your customer and you're having them involved throughout the process on expensive bills and stuff, you may get that payment in the end, right? Where you present them the bill and they pay it and they don't say a whole lot. But I can guarantee you just lost that customer, their trust and faith in you. And how many other people are they going to tell of their horror story with you, of what took place? I guarantee you that they'll complain nonstop about how you treated them and how much it cost for what little you did. So, for you guys in the comment section, what stories have you heard of where different shops, it doesn't need to be small engine repair, it could be auto, could be appliance repair, but of where people were a little dishonest. You know, we talk about you're only as good as your last job. You may have done 9 and been very honest, and that 10th one, you really needed a few extra bucks that day, and you fudged it. And you got caught saying there was a new battery in there. Was it really worth fudging that one? Put in the comments. Let me know what you guys have seen or heard and advice that you give someone first starting out. Because I tell you, there's a group of you that are older on this that make up over half, that are retirement age and above, that could really give wisdom and great advice on how to do things. And why it doesn't pay in the end to be dishonest. We all had to start somewhere, and it wasn't at the top. So on that note, you guys have a great Monday. I'm starting to feel better. The antibiotics are starting to kick in. So I'm not supposed to be going back to work, but I am because I go stir crazy. But on that note, you guys have a great Monday, and we'll catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning. Again, thanks so much for being part of the channel. This is all about you. You know, you hear me say it numerous times. This channel is more about you than it is about me. I may be the host, and I may bring up topics, but I'm bringing up topics that I think that you guys want to hear. And if there's a topic that you want to hear that you haven't heard, or bring it up in the comments. I read all the comments. I respond to all the comments. And if there's a video that you'd like to see that I haven't done or done, I could improve on it, then absolutely, I'm more than willing to do it for you. Because if you're asking, there's probably numerous others that are thinking the same thing but don't want to raise their hand and be singled out. See you here bright early tomorrow morning.